Hey, Mr. Townsend.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Olivia.
I'll just leave Adam at 12:45. Tennis. I'm pretty sure it should be in the teacher's announcements.
Okay, I'll have to double check.
Yeah, that's fine.
They don't have you marked yet.
Okay.
Just remind me at this time.
No problem.
Trent. Grace. Lincoln. Made it.
All right, before we get going here, I did ask you guys to turn in the book assignment number 22
Into Google Classroom.
But if for some reason your internet wasn't working and you couldn't do Google Classroom, this would be your last chance to still get full credit on those. So if you can't remember if you turned it into Google Classroom, you need to check now, and or just give me your hard copy in the basket with your name on it. But if you wait till later, it will be late credit, so.
You got mine on Monday, right?
Sorry?
You checked mine on Monday.
I think I did, but I don't know, that could be a different assignment. I can't keep up with it.
Okay.
You gotta check.
I'll stay put together alone.
Okay, that's it. Last call.
Okay, so our practice today is going to be a mix of calculator practice, some calculator skills that you need to know throughout the year, which is number 26, and a little bit more, one last day where we look at just product rule and quotient rule, which is 27. I don't typically give you two different circuits in one day, but I don't know, that's just kind of the way it fell. So we're going to start off with number 26, the calculator one. Do you know your calculator? So all of those are just, can you figure them out with graphing and with tracing? A lot of them are going to be when you graph something, doing second trace, and either finding x-intercepts or maxes or mins or intersections, making sure that you can do all of that. So, like the first circuit we did last class, you need to do the top left box that is labeled as number 1, and then that answer tells you what box the number is number 2 and which question to do is number 2. So, do this first, that way, because I have no idea, every year calculus students are varied quite a bit on calculator usage. So I hope that you know how to do all this stuff in the calculator, but this is the stuff that's going to come out throughout the year that's calculator based. So do that first. Then as you finish that one, you can move on to the product quotient rule one. I did have them already.
Okay, let me finish putting these last couple homework grades in, and then I'll come around and help. Bless you. Bless you.
So again, in a perfect world, you know how to do all these calculator things, but if everybody could do all of these, then we obviously wouldn't be doing this assignment. I say that to say that as you get to something that you don't know how to do in the calculator, make sure you write down some detailed steps about what to do, like what buttons to press. Because none of this is really calculus based. But it's all stuff that is just expected that you know. So it's good for you to get some of it sorted out now if possible. Is that good?
I like just starting on these.
I have
Do we get to 7?
rechargeable calculators up there, so that shoots. The store, you type in the number you want to store. Blue buttons, and then put the letter you want to store in.
The X that you just put in this.
Just the 9 times that X is gonna put in 1.5. So you should be able to just now type in that stuff and put an X.
Oh, and is it just like, just press enter? Okay.
Right here. Back, top, left. Your 6 is this one, right? Yeah. Yeah. I'll do something.
So if you're solving, you know how to do it by hand. But with why?
You can always use the solving on paper. I don't know how to use it. I don't know how to use it.
Can you solve? How do you do 7?
Well, you could do a few different things. You could either graph this as a line, and then graph this as a line, and then the 2 places that intersect would be the solutions.
Okay.
Or you could subtract this over and graph all of this, and then it would be equal to 0, so your solutions would then be the x-intercepts.
Okay.
If you're going to do it that way. You have to go to mode, and then it's the third option down. You have to go to radians and hit enter to change it to that. There you go. Yeah, now it's in radians because it highlights it, so. Now it's typed in as.
And of course, your last answer should be the answer in box 1. So your last answer should be 4.272. Otherwise, something was off. Okay.
Okay.
Wait, how did you get? I got
Because you're doing a trig function, and so your calculator has to be in
What
radians.
did you put on
ten.
But is it on there? Oh, I subtracted it out. That's what it is.
You could, but what if it was on a calculator FRQ and they're expecting you to use a calculator, so you can do it by hand.
Okay.
But you could do what you graph this as a line, and then graph this as a line.
I don't know.
Your solution would be
Okay,
the intersection. Or you could subtract this over and make it equal to 0, and then you can graph all of that. And then your solution would be where it equals 0, which is the y, or
I
x
just
intercept.
think I got it.
Okay.
So that would be fine too.
Yeah.
But that's a negative.
So you plug in 3.2 into that,
Second,
and that's your number, and you can plug that into that.
5.
Make sure your calculator's in radian mode. Any of these questions with any trig function, sine, cosine, tangent, it's gonna be giving you numbers
Then you click enter and
that are not correct
that's not right.
if it's in degree mode. And I didn't make up these questions, so I don't know if you do it in degree mode, if it's gonna have your answer there. They may have done that.
To mislead you, so. And again, most importantly, any of them you need a hint on, make sure you're writing down what you're doing.
Here's your time saved. For this one, so we drafted,
Okay.
but now there's, I only see a negative answer.
Okay. Should there be 2?
There should be 2,
I don't know, I'm asking. What question are you doing?
7.
So there should be 2 solutions.
Okay, so did I plug it in there?
Yes.
Would it be right
Because
as
the
negative?
way you wrote this, your calculator has to do OR operations. So it's gonna do this division and then come back and add. So what you wrote is 2 over x plus 2, and it's supposed to be 2 over
Okay.
x plus 2.
So I need to do 2 over x plus 2.
There you go.
And then, okay, and then minus 7.
The other thing you can do,
Yeah. To make sure the calculator doesn't error.
if you go down, just do this for just a second, just so you know. Go down to like y3. If you do second y equals, alpha y equals, this first option here, and that's for numerator over denominator, hit enter on that. If you do that, it lets you type it in, it makes it look a little more like a fraction, so it's a little easier to type division
Okay, that's
without
cool.
the parentheses.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, I saw it.
Okay, yeah, now
Really
it's-
good stuff. Okay, well, with the so that's great, you can do it by hand, but right now we're worried about the calculator. You could do a few different things. You could graph this as a line, the whole left side, and then graph this as a line, and then your solutions would be the intersections.
Okay, yeah.
So that would be how I would do it. Somebody else might subtract the 10 over and then type all that in as a line, and then where it equals 0 would be x-intercepts. So if you'd rather do that, that would be okay too.
Yep.
But you might have to play with the window settings, so
And then
I don't know.
there should be one here. Oh, and then those are the two.
Sir. Mhm.
So we're plugging the 3.2 into G of X.
Correct. And then you should get a number.
I got the number and I basically just connected this into X.
Correct. That's what you're supposed to do. I guess would be that your calculator would be read mode instead of radio mode, but that was fine. Yep. It's yours shows up here, so you don't have to hit modes. Well, when you type this in, how did your calculator know what X was? Did you ever tell it X was 3.2? Okay, so either instead of typing in X, you have to type in 3.2. You know how to use the store button?
Yeah.
Okay, why don't you do 3.2 stores X and then type those back in. Or you don't really have to type them back in. I can show you the way though.
Is that how it works?
Yeah, but you stored in 3, you need 3.2.
Oh, yes, right.
So 3.2.
I just graphed it.
Stores
and then I'm
X.
finding the intersection.
Okay. Now every time you hit that, it knows that. So if you need to pull this back up, sometimes it's easier to just, okay, that's fine too. Okay, so hit enter. Okay, and then that's supposed to go in the
so
last
much
one.
work when you do the quotient rule.
Natural log. But there you go, that's full. Yeah, that looks like that's on the front page. You're doing it right. You just can't say X because it was using whatever you had stored in for X some other time.
Sine squared.
You have to do sine of whatever and then square it outside the parentheses. It doesn't let you put it right here like how we write
It's
it.
the same.
It means the same thing.
Right.
If you're ever worried, you could always just do parentheses too. Because if you put it all in parentheses, it means everything times itself, so.
How intersection defines the intersection.
Okay.
Well, that's not gonna be close enough because you're making big jumps here. We need to look at the graph. We need to be, okay, so what does that represent?
Can you calculate maybe sine squared?
She subtracted her 10 over. I don't think you did. You did too?
Oh, where is, oh, right here. You got this.
Okay, why don't you hit zoom 6? Yeah, zoom in the top. That changes it to standard zoom. It could have been your window settings.
Or, yes, that's.
Keep going, number 6.
Yeah, you do, see, I did that. I
You
just
do the same thing. You do zoom. Okay, so now your graph's the same. Now,
Oh, I got it.
you were just zoomed in or something. You weren't looking at the same graph.
Oh.
I redo those.
And then, okay, so if you subtracted this over, this is true when all of that stuff equals 0. So that would be x-intercepts now. So do second trace. No, don't use the table. The table, it's too far off. We need to be accurate within 3 decimals. So hit second trace. You're trying to find a 0, and x-intercept. It's gonna ask for left bound, so you need to move your cursor to the left of one of them. Hit enter. Then right bound, move your cursor to the right before you hit enter. And then enter the skip guess. Okay, and then there's one solution. write that to 3 decimal places, and then do the same thing over there.
Is over cosine, right?
Okay, the table's not gonna be accurate to that, because the table makes big
Out of
jumps.
second trace.
Okay, second trace. So left down means your cursor needs to be to the left of what you're trying to find before you hit enter. And you are,
Let me see
so
if this is right.
go back over to the left. I don't know how you have that up. Okay, hit enter.
Okay, yeah, I got it right.
Are you on Zoom?
It switches to right now, so now you need to move your cursor to the right of what you're trying to find before you hit
So
enter.
for secant,
Mhm.
I just did
And then
that.
hit enter to skip
I
guess.
remember cosine.
Oh, that's.
And then it will find that within like 8 or 9 decimals. So you need it within 3 probably.
So, oh, okay.
So that's
And
one
then
solution.
find both.
And then you gotta do the same thing for your other solution. The way most people are doing it is either graphing
got
this and then graphing this and seeing
Um,
what the lines intersect. Or you could subtract this over it and graph all of it at once.
How you get to the
And it's gonna be
Wait.
0 and all the time. Now you can't type it in like that, because your calculator does order of operations. So for this division, it's
0.9,
not 0. So it looks like you want 2 over x, and then plus 2, which really was 2 over.
So you just need the one.
So you either have to put unto's around every denominator,
What was your
or
number for
try
your-
to put
1.448.
kind of a friendlier way, is to do alpha y equals this first one is for numerator over denominator, and then you can type subtract. For example, you would do this is I'll feel a little better if I got this one.
The first one I got 1.6.
Okay. You don't need to graph that one, I don't think. You
There's
just gotta think about, if you wanna know at 0.9, you gotta think about what you need to plug it into.
Just don't look at me.
Plus 1, plug it in there. And plus
number
1.
7. Oh, so I graphed this one, and then I graphed
But what about this?
and then found where it was.
Oh.
It doesn't count.
2 different ways to plug it. Some people are graphing all of this as one.
It's okay.
Some
That's
graphing
good.
this as
It
one.
happens to me.
And so where they intersect would be your total. Where you could subtract this over and graph all of that once, and where it equals 0 would be x
Oh,
intercept.
secant is 1 over cosine.
Whatever.
That's fine.
Okay.
So I can do it by hand, and then like there's just.
Let me do it on the board, because you're like the 8th person. That's number 7.
Yeah.
Okay, give me just a second.
Wait, so it would just be the same thing, do x times sine of 2x.
So.
Or you like,
This one?
is that how we're supposed to do it?
I don't know. I really don't know. This is on here tonight.
Well, number 9, did you guys use 0.456?
Let's see.
Did you graph it?
Yeah.
What did you graph?
Wait, what's it? 1.5,
Mm-hmm.
and then I grabbed this separately.
After that, then I just took a square, but a cube. Wait, that's how I got it. That's where I got it.
Okay, before I continue to come around the room here, I've had one question quite a bit more than others. So first, let me double check.
That's 5.
Does everybody agree that this is question number 7? Because I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're still struggling with this one, please follow along with me because this is the one that's been asked the most. All right, so for question 7, hopefully you can solve this by hand, but what we're trying to practice today is using the calculator. So the 2 big things I would do is either graph this as a line in your calculator and then graph this in the line in your calculator, and where those 2 intersect would be your solutions.
Well,
Or you could subtract this over and make it equal to 0, and then your solutions would be when y equals 0, which is x-intercepts. But typing this in the calculator, if you guys don't put this in correctly, you may not be asking your calculator to graph what you mean to graph. Because your calculator follows order of operations very strictly. So you either have to put parentheses around your numerators and your denominators, or, and this is something that's fairly new to me, so you may not know about it as well, but if you do alpha y equals, option 1 is asking it to type in a fraction, and if you do it that way, it looks more like what's on paper and you don't have a million parentheses everywhere. So alpha y equals option 1. It's not necessary, but you might try it. And I'm going to go ahead and subtract that over. So my solution should be x-intercepts because that's when it would equal 0. So here's one, here's the other. Don't fall into the trap of just trying to use trace and get it close, because we have to be accurate within 3 decimal places. All of our FRQs always round to 3 decimal places. So in this calculate menu, second trace, if you pick 0, x-intercepts are also known as zeros. So left bound wants you to find a point to the left of that x-intercept before you hit enter. Right bound wants you to move the cursor to the right before you hit enter. And then you can hit enter to skip guess. And then it basically bounces back and forth between those points until it figures out where y is 0, or as close as it can get. So it looks like one of them should be negative 1.777. And then you got to do the same thing over here. Trace a 0. Make sure your cursor is somewhere to the left of it before you hit enter. Right bound, move your cursor somewhere to the right before you hit enter. Hit enter to skip guess, and then it will do the rest of the work for you. 4.277. And to advance in the circuit, find the one that's positive. You should go to the box that says 4.277. Okay, for those of you that were struggling with that one, is there anything else you need about that while it's still up here? Okay.
So, in this, how do you get up? Would you set like this equal to this, like on separate lines to find it? But
Well-
wouldn't it be like 3 intersections because it's cubed? Or is it not looking for zeros?
I think there's only going to be 2. But absolute value sign, it's somewhere in these menus that I can never remember. But if you go to catalog, you got to hit second first.
I think I get out of here.
That's fine. Aren't you going to graph it?
Yeah.
So everything's in the catalog, but absolute value is especially nice because it's the very first one.
Oh, okay, got it. Thank you.
Solving for zeros, how do you get it to move the zero?
You have to hold the, well, if you hit trace,
I kind of like it because
I was just calculating the sides.
did you type it in as two different lines?
We're just only graphing.
No, and I did the,
Okay, if you just wanna know the zeros, yeah, there you go. You just hit trace, there you go. Now, which zero are you trying to find?
I had that one, but I need that one.
Okay, so do what you did again, but don't hit enter this time.
What's that?
Now do the left bound, right bound stuff.
Done it, yeah.
Yeah, don't hit the last enter, but do what you just did. I'll show you why it's not working for you. It's like a roller coaster. Alright, now you can hit enter one more time. You see these little dash lines?
Yeah.
Because that's your left bound and then here's your right bound. So you told it there's a zero or an x-intercept
Yeah.
somewhere between those. The problem is there's more than one, so it's confused.
Oh, so I want to make the right bound one.
Yeah, closer to the other one.
Okay.
Yeah, you're basically just saying, look between these values and find that one. And then the second time, look between those values and
Okay.
find the one.
Thank you.
Calculator stuff? No?
How do you do sine squared?
You have to type in sine, put whatever you want, x angle or whatever, close your parentheses and then put a square. Like that. You can't put it right there like how we write it.
That's weird.
Or you could do, if you wanted sine squared of x, you could do sine x times sine x, and it's the same thing. Find the next intercept, the graph we can. I think, I don't see any tick marks, so I think your window settings are probably gonna mess up. Okay, so you can change the main name. Or if you did N six, six, change it back to standard, which is -10 to 10, 10, which is what most graphs are. So you were just looking at a tiny part of that graph, so you could see. So Zoom 6 always puts it back in standard, and then you're probably gonna see what you want to do. I would just graph it, but do you know how to do absolute values in your calculator?
I'm not getting.
So go to your y equals. So you need absolute value signs. So absolute value is hidden somewhere in these menus that I can never remember. But if you go to the catalog, second 0, everything's in the catalog, and absolute value is really nice because it's the first one. And you can type it in the way it looks.
Mr. Tyson. So I'm trying to find the maximum, and so I have to graph, and then I did second count, and I did maximum. But then what do I do here? There's a left bound and there's a right bound.
Okay, so the thing is, the graph might have multiple maximums.
Mhm.
So you're trying to tell it what numbers to look at because it doesn't know what you're trying to do. So just move your cursor somewhere to the left of the max before you hit enter.
And then in here.
Okay, right bound, move it somewhere to the right of the max before you hit enter. Enter to skip guess. And so it's going to find you the maximum value between those 2 points.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I doubt this will be true this year, but I think last year on our fall final exam, I think we had one question that was about finding max, and you could do it with a calculator just like you guys are doing, and you didn't even need calculus at all. So. Any calculator skills I can help with?
for the maximum value.
That would see why.
Oh, so
Yeah. I did that too.
So, why don't you just graph both sides, graph this and graph this.
You plugged it in.
You know how to graph?
How did you do that?
Okay. So absolute value. Absolute value is hidden in one of these menus somewhere. The problem is like, some of these have like multiple tabs, so I can't ever remember. So I use what's called the catalog. So I have 0. Because the catalog has everything. So if you're willing to go down far enough, you'll find what you need. But absolute value is really nice because it's the first one.
Wait, so you would plug in that and then also set them on.
Well, you could do it.
Subtract it.
It just depends. You can either graph this as a line and graph this as a line, but then your solution is going to be the intersections.
Okay.
So when you do second trace, you would pick intersection instead. Yeah, so instead of finding a 0, you're interested in the intersects now. So it's going to ask you for the first line.
So now you're left with it.
I don't think you have to go left, but you should get kind of close. That's probably good. Okay, hit enter. And then I think it jumps to the other one. That's why the colors are changing. So now you're on the second line. Hit enter. Enter the skip guess. Okay, and then so it found you this one. So there's one of your answers. And then you gotta do the same stuff, but leave your cursors near that so it finds that one instead. Now, if you had rathered, you could have subtracted the 7 over and added the x over and looked for x intercepts or zeros instead, but they should be the same numbers.
So then I would do
Well, did you tell it to calculate intersection again?
so I would have to.
Yeah, you gotta tell it what you're doing again. Just get it kinda close so it knows which one you're after. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then there's another line, enter. Okay, here's the second line, hit enter. Hit enter to skip guess. And then down the other one.
Can I see that? It's because, oh, you subtracted. I would put, like, 2x plus 1 to negative
Just on the
7.
intersect, okay.
And, yeah, do that. Let's,
Easier.
yeah. I don't know how to do this.
17.
Well, you don't have to graph it at all. You want to know h at 0.9. You're either plugging it in here or here. So which one of these would be when x is 0.9?
This is
So plug 0.9 in for x here and here. And then you get 1. And then for 1.1.
Oh, it's the line elements.
Yeah.
I put one X on that makes.
Absolute value sign. Well, I would graph it, find a solution. You need to know where the absolute value symbol is. So this is somewhere in here, but I never remember. You do second 0, and you got catalog. Catalog for everything. The absolute value. And you can graph this and then graph that for intersection, or if you graph this over in like that. Also,
I know we're doing this for calculus and your AP exam and all that kind of stuff, but if there's any of you guys that plan on taking the ACT, again, these calculator tricks are usually optional, but sometimes you can work some tough questions much quicker. Like this number 7 that's still on the board, if they put this on the ACT, I hope that you can solve it by hand, but if you have a calculator and it's faster to do it with a calculator, you're going to get the same amount of points. So you might as well speed up that question and then save yourself time for a harder question.
Could you explain 17?
So it's saying if you plug in 2.1 in for x,
Mm-hmm.
so plug in 2.1 for all of those,
Okay.
it would be equal to 1.212, so that's what it would be equal to. So you plug that in for y. This is
Okay.
x, this is y. And then you're going to have everything except for k, and so they want you to solve for k.
Okay.
So you can move it all to,
The left.
yeah, do graphing if you wanted to.
Okay.
Try that and see where you get stuck.
Try graphing it.
Yeah.
I'm just stuck on
Yeah, I figured
12.
it out.
I couldn't find output value. I'm like, wait a minute, it's whenever y is positive. So I just put it in and
Yeah, but graphically that's hard because you got to keep up with all of this would be positive, so this actually goes up and there might be another solution. There should be two, see? Some of the two solutions. So go to your y equals again. You need to know where absolute value sum is. So clear that. So absolute value is somewhere in here that I can never remember, but if you do second 0, you get the catalog. See how catalog's in blue?
yeah.
And everything's in the catalog. So if you're going to scroll long enough, you can find anything. But absolute value is at the top, so it's really nice. And then it gives you the right signs.
Thank you.
So, how do you find 17? So I got this first. So now I need to find
That's what you want to do that. So once you get the first curve, so just make sure your cursor is near it. And once the second curve, just it jumps to the other function.
Oh, and then find where that intersects.
There you can yes. And then it's going to find the intersection here. So there's one answer. And then move your cursor over to the right and do the same thing with that for the other intersection.
Do I have to redo the second?
Yeah, so that's a color. If you go to the intersection.
What did you get? Did you get 2.067?
Let me see.
Which one? Yeah, that should be fine. That should work.
Oh, cause you plug in, for X, you plug in.
Okay, so it's gonna be right here, so you, for left challenge, you need the cursor a little bit to the left of that.
The X you plug
Before you hit enter.
in. So I would put 2.1 so
And
it
right down
would
here,
be
somewhere to the right of the max,
And then it
And
would
then
be
hit
equal
enter.
to 1.2.
and then enter the success, and then it'll find you. Which number are you looking at? Okay, but this isn't asking when there's a maximum, it's asking what is the max value. That's the value, that's when it occurs. So this is the value.
Yeah.
Being done on that one?
Just questioning it the whole thing.
Well, how close are you on that?
Oh, I don't have questions on it.
Did you do out of 20?
I think so.
So?
left of the maximum you're trying to find, and then anywhere to the right of the maximum.
This is what mine looks like.
Yeah, like you put it way over here, your calculator's gonna have to work harder, but your calculator works so fast, it doesn't really matter, so. Yeah, so look, see these little arrows up there and here? You're basically telling it, look between these x values and find the biggest value.
Which question?
Hit enter, select this, and then it'll jump to the maximum. The reason you have to do that is some graphs go up and down a lot, and so it has multiple maximums, and it doesn't know which one you want. So you have to say, I'm looking at just here, tell me the max between these two x values. It depends, you wanna know when there's a maximum or what the maximum value is. So that would be why.
Should I do plus x again? I did. I think it's I think it's right now.
Okay, so
Wait, I'm confused how you did this. Mr. Townsend?
so did you get negative 0.72?
Just because you can just click into the intersection.
Answer to 18? Or the answer to 17?
Negative 1.478.
What?
That's not, that's tattoo.
I'm not old enough for that too.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I just write that on my arm every single day to wake up. What, how do you do that?
I don't know, why don't you do it like you've been doing the other ones?
I did, I
Okay.
grabbed it.
How do you talk to them?
Like that. Wait, what happened? Oh, there.
Okay, so your answer would be when they intersect.
Mr. Thompson.
Mine is different.
Well, okay, it says find the answer in the interval 2 to 4.
Do you put that in, like, do you put that in your calculator or you just look at it?
Well, if you can look at 2 to 4, I can't, my eyes aren't good enough to focus in on it. So I would go to the window setting, and I would make x minimum be 2, and the x max be 4. That's really all I care to look at. And then I would regraph it. And then it's only going to show you that little sliver of pixel.
Mr. Thompson.
And then hit zoom 6 to put it back.
I'm still stuck on 17.
Okay.
So what I did, here, plugged in this for all the x's, okay? And then I put x at the end for k. And then I put 1, 3, 2, 1, 2, and then next one, and I graphed it. And then I did second, count, intersect, and then I did guess.
Do you want me to stop you when I see what you did, or you want to keep going?
Please stop me.
Trig function? You better get radians.
Radians! Wow.
So it's getting some weird numbers there because it's trying to do degrees.
Okay, so.
Ooh, I think I'm done.
You're done? Oh. Okay, I'm almost there.
But yeah,
I need to do something.
you don't have to do this by hand. You don't have to do. Oh wait. Oh, you're.
Negative
My bad.
1.4.
I thought you were still on the calculator one. I'm like, why are you doing product rules on the calculator question?
He likes a challenge. Wait.
I was gonna say, I figured you'd be pretty good at the calculator. You spend so much time playing Tetris on there.
Okay.
24 things.
So then what's the plan?
I don't know.
What number? Okay, you've got slope. How far off the ground? Okay. So make an equation, graph it.
Okay. Don't think really hard. After,
You're gonna,
see, what do I do with the 24? Where does it go?
well, that tells you when your answer is gonna be.
Oh.
So, well, you got M,
Yep.
so I would do y equals mx plus b. Sounds like it's taken off from the ground, so b should be 0. Okay.
They catalog.
24Y?
Plug 24 in for y.
Oh,
And
okay.
you're gonna figure out how far horizontally, which would be x, when there'd be a vertical. So you figure out how many seconds.
We're supposed to go on to the next one.
I solved it. Like, just on paper, and I solved it by plugging in graph, and both times I got 1.374, but that's not.
How did you get 1.8 right there?
Let me see.
Where? Wait, which question is it? It says, if the radius of the cone is 0.9 inches, the height is twice the radius. So 0.9. It's alright.
The minus x's.
Just like, I don't know, I didn't know how else to graph it.
I don't think you need to graph this one at all. I think if you just throw all of that down
Yeah,
there.
I got the same thing as when I plugged it in the graph.
Okay, well, why didn't you square the radius?
I did, that is the radius.
Oh, okay.
Q. Oh wait, oh my god. Wait, that's crazy. My bad for real.
I need to start charging on like 10 cents every time.
You're here to help
Yeah,
us, man.
you're
This is your, you
getting
get
paid to
paid
help
for
us.
this.
It's only
This is your
10
job.
cents.
I don't have
Wait.
10 cents
You
to
don't
my
add up
name.
a lot of money.
Okay, so when x is this, y is that, so in place of all these x's, you could plug this
What?
in.
You're gonna get paid by the
In place of y, you can plug that in.
Not enough though.
And then
Like,
you've got
Yeah,
an
look at
equation
the
that's all you're
dollars.
getting is k.
Dude, I'm broke, alright, I can't afford $1.
I would pay for
You're
it.
gonna need your calculator to do all that. Basically, you're gonna have
Yeah, I think it pays in the
1.212
class.
Well, I
equals
would pay for, well,
this
actually,
to the fifth minus 2 times this to the fourth plus sine of 2.1 squared plus x, and then solve for x.
So you subtract k over here, and then I would.
Which one?
1.2.
You can do however you want to. You could
Wait,
graph
20?
1.212 and then graph all of this, but
I
do
want
x
19, I'll
instead
be
of
on the one
k.
next, I guess.
And you could look for an intersection, or you could subtract over the number, the 1.212, and then it's all equal to 0, and you'd be looking for x
And
intercepts.
And I would graph it.
it's 20
Yeah, that's how you would do it with a graph.
in the horizon. Oh, in the horizontal direction. How?
Well, when you graph this, it's gonna be, they're gonna intersect a lot of times, but you only need the one between
So if the
both.
slope is going this way, and it's rise over run is 24, so it's rise. So then it's,
Yeah, but you're looking at, the problem with this table is it's jumping by ones. It's very
or
accurate. You need to look at the graph,
0.78 times,
so there's one of them.
yeah.
When you
So
subtract that
basically,
over, so where
the
you put
plan is
0.
going at
So you're in
this
between 2 and 4, so just a little bitty spot.
and
Now,
then
my eyes are old, so I can't see it very well and find that very well. But if you go to window, you can change the min and the max.
slope is rise over run.
So we only care about 2 to 4, so make x min be 2.
So
Go
we
down, make
have,
x max be
then we
4.
have it.
And then if we hit graph, it's only showing you between 2 and 4, and it's a lot easier. And then after you get your answer, you're gonna want to put it back. So if you do zoom 6, it'll put it back in center.
I'll do that. I just wanted to be done.
First one's Wiley. I'm there.
That's the max. No, it's okay. I don't know.
Oh my god.
Okay, there is one more thing I need to show you all about the calculator that you didn't have to know for this, but I do want you to know it exists. So if you'd please pause where you're at for just a second. If you go to math and go down to the very bottom, your calculator has something built in it called equation solver or numeric solver. So if you press that, you can type in one side of an equation. Let's just do something real easy, like x minus 4.
Yeah,
And then you type in the other side of the equation. Now, if you don't practice this sometimes, you're never going to be able to do it, but I want you to be aware of it so you might practice it some. If you go down, it shows you what you're trying to solve. And then this is not the answer. This is the answer to what I solved last time. But what should the answer to this be?
4.
Okay, so if you hit alpha, which is the green button, and then what's green above the enter? Solve. So if you hit alpha enter, it changes it to what the answer is.
That's amazing.
That's good, but here's the problem with it. This is why I didn't say this before we started this, and I want you to do the graph more. An equation like x minus 4, x plus 4, you see how this has two solutions, 4 and negative 4? Unfortunately, this equation solver is only smart enough to give you one answer. So this is kind of like your guess. So if you have x equals 3 here, when you hit alpha enter, it's going to give you the answer that's closest to 3, but it may not be the one you want. If you want the other answer, the one negative 4, you got to change it to this alpha enter, and then it changes it to the answer. So it is kind of helpful, but if an equation has more than one solution, it's kind of a pain to know if you have them all. Whereas a graph, you can visually see all the intersections, and so the graph's a little bit more versatile. But you may want to play around with this sometime. Again, math, all the way at the bottom, numeric solver. As long as you know how to use it and know its limitations, it can still be pretty useful.
Wait, Mr. Townsend.
Yes.
Weren't we just gonna learn chain rule today?
We had more time than I thought we did.
Oh, cool.
And plus, the thing with chain rule is it's after you do all of this. So it's like you do power rule, and then you have to consider doing chain rule. You do product rule, you have to consider chain rule. Quotient rule, consider chain rule.
So you want us to get good at this work?
You need to be very good at that, because it's going to just add one more step to all those questions.
Okay.
And plus, that's the only completely new thing for Unit 2. So.
Okay.
So we'll have a few days to practice that before your second test. And your second test is, I don't know, I feel like 12, 13 days away. So.
I think so.
You never talked about it or anything.
Every question. Everyone
You had
did.
it on there, right? All blurs.
Yeah. I didn't go to that class very much. She didn't teach everything too. We just sat there. It was so weird.
Really?
Oh.
Does that no. Definitely not.
That's when you dress better than my sister. You dress better than my sister.
Really? I've heard really bad things about her, but I never had her. Every kid I tutored last year for chemistry had, or every single one. Yeah, and so it was like,
All right, if you're still working on the calculator part and are slowing down or stuck somewhere, you need to let me know so that you don't fall too far behind everybody else. Once you finish the calculator one, again, it should connect back to the front before you move on, but then you can move on to the other circuit, which is actually calculus, product total quotient.
yeah.
That's not the whole quotient rule though. No, that part, yeah, that part goes to zero.
I don't know, I just thought it was kinda weird. It's just kinda one of those weird things.
Well, think of it like this. If I wanted to know this derivative,
Yeah.
the smart play would be to rewrite and do the power rule. You okay with that?
Yeah.
But if you really, really wanted to do quotient rule, you could. So derivative of this times this goes to 0. Minus derivative of this
It's right here.
times this all over the denominator squared. This goes to 0. Negative 6x squared over x to the 6. These cancel out the next 4 of those. So you get the same thing either way. So it's good that some of this go back.
Okay.
Doing something really great.
Thank you.
Oh, I literally did this. That's why.
X squared.
No. do the 2 and 9? Or is that not the answer?
You have to, you know.
This is
Oh,
the
it's
answer.
not the answer. It's not the
Those
answer.
next work.
Oh, yeah, makes sense. Look at these.
You have to, figure it out.
Have you said your 6?
There's,
What's your 6?
Negative 9 over, what's this one? So,
yes. Number 9. It's just F. So it's not the derivative of some FNG is 5 times each other. When you find the derivative, that's an XH without the derivative.
so we don't go straight.
Okay. Minus derivative of x is 2x squared. Times 2x plus 1. So I get 2x minus 3x plus 1. I don't even have to do because I don't know whatever the x is 6. How old is it? Okay. The same answer. It's just
Everything that I could say makes sense.
Is it F?
Oh.
Because yeah, so
Okay.
you distribute 3. Should just be 6. It's not that answer.
Wait, if you do 3 times 2x minus 1, you still have to do the, because it's nothing.
No, it's up to do the. What I'm saying is you can like
If you really
distribute
want them,
3.
it's not hard.
Well, one thing is right here.
You also know that it's not
Okay,
hard.
but-
And then just this stuff kind of just. I put the minus 9x cubed. It looks like we cubed that for 7. So I'm not sure which one that's gonna match up with still, but I know that part's off. That's gonna change that number at least.
I think that's the answer.
Hit mode. Make sure you're in radio mode. Well, okay, so just go to the home screen there. So you don't really need to graph this one, because this is telling you to plug in 3.2 into G. So you type this in the home screen and you get a number, and then that number gets placed in F. And then plug that in. You don't have to do the graph. Same with this one, I would not try to graph that, you don't need to graph it.
Choose on the control.
Okay.
So I plugged in prime, so it's 2 FNC and GFT.
You can't do that yet. Because if you just plug in a number here and plug in a number here, you multiply 2 numbers, you get a number, and then you try to take the derivative of the constant, you're gonna get 0. So it doesn't help you at all.
GF5 is 2x minus 1. So I put 3 times 2x minus 1, and I got 6, but that's also not an answer.
What I would do if I was you on this is this is h of t. You want to know h prime at 5.
Yes.
So first, before I'd look at anything else, I'd write out what h prime is. Since this is multiplied, it's going to be product rule. So this left alone plus this times that derivative. Product rule, right? And then if you want to know at 5, you're just going to plug 5 into all of those, and that should be the information they gave you in the problem. Yeah, but if you evaluate first, you're always going to be doing the derivative of a constant, and you're going to think it's 0. You've got to do the derivative and then plug in your numbers.
I have a question really quick.
Okay.
For number 5, I know in the division equation, you're supposed to do the numerator first and find the derivative of the numerator. If it's 0, since it's multiplying the denominator, wouldn't like it all just be 0? That cancel it out.
Well, the first part would be
Yeah.
the derivative of the top times the bottom left alone. Yes, that part's going to go to 0, but then you still have to
Still
sum
have-
minus.
yeah, you
You
still
still got
have-
to do the rest of it, but yes, all of that part of the quotient rule just goes to 0.
That's my biggest issue. That's what's been messing me up.
Wait, what?
It's so simple.
Thank you, you too. Okay, I think I had mentioned chain rule to you guys last class maybe, and this is a B week, so I won't see you again until Monday. But what I need you to know about chain rule, the last big topic we haven't done in Unit 2, is that chain rule comes after you do product rule, or after you do quotient rule, or after you do power rule. So you really, really, really need to feel pretty confident with power, product, and quotient, because we're going to add one more step to that next week. And then that'll be the extent of all of the types of derivatives you have to be able to do.
Is there a negative secant square root sign?
Yeah, right here.
That's cosecant. Yeah, cosine is secant, not cosecant.
Oh.
Yeah.
Let's see if you can just stand to do that 8 hours a day. You might become a teacher.
I don't ever want to do that in a day. Do what? I want to do it lay down.
Help people see little mistakes.
No, I tried to do that.
ever get irritated?
It's bad. Yeah, it
Maybe
definitely
lots
gets
of
irritating.
questions.
I was irritated yesterday because my pre-cal students can't add or subtract fractions.
What?
I said my pre-cal students couldn't add or
People
subtract
are irritated with us
fractions.
asking like a billion questions.
I get irritated when I tutor kids. I can't tutor anymore.
No, it's,
Actually,
it's
I
fine
still
if they don't
tutor.
remember, but it's like, you know, I'll give them a hint, and then an easy, better hint, and then a better hint, and then I'm basically summarizing it. And what they need is a 30-minute from scratch. This is how you add or subtract fractions. And we don't have time to do that.
Probably don't really
I feel like
watch
it's
a
not that
video.
hard to add
They
and subtract
won't.
fractions.
They won't.
Yeah, they
They'll just ask
I
again the next
tutor,
day.
like, the same
Give them the
course
Cliff's
and I'd
Notes.
be like, okay, go home and
I did give it a foot down.
They never
They
really know
don't
their
get it.
stuff. And then Pepper's
Yeah, but
teaching,
not-
like, especially
not
like
for some of them.
Yeah,
I can't help you.
Yeah, it was getting really upset, like really frustrated.
So you wanna try to teach my sister math, and she just like sits there and she's like.
Yeah, and they're just like, and they're like not even listening, they're like chilling out, they're just like.
Fine.
Staring at me. doing
So is this a plus sign?
Like, I think it's
Okay, what's to the left of
I
it?
have a
Zero?
sister that's a freshman.
Okay, so you need to put a 0.
So she's
Well,
she doubled.
because you can't have
so she's
nothing
doing
plus-
geometry on her too.
That doesn't make sense. Nothing plus sign?
Honestly, I had a
Okay, so 0 plus sign. Or you could just not put the plus, it's fine. You could do sign over
It was her one.
cosine squared. So if you split this up now,
You did.
ACT in October and in December.
you got this over this. If we
What?
split this one up,
Yeah, I have that first.
cosine
I'm
times
gonna take it as
cosine.
many times as I can.
Well, sine over cosine is tangent. And 1 over cosine is secant. There you go. Or, even better, if that's one you should memorize. Remember the trig ones I gave you? The derivative of secant is secant tangent. But you're figuring out why it equals secant tangent instead of just memorizing.
I'm doing that right now.
You got all this to each other, and then side squared is cosine squared.
For like number 13.
And then if you do, so then you can cancel it out. You just have sine x plus cosine.
Okay. Wait, what?
I swear, I can't do this right. I really cannot do this right. Can you follow? Okay. Oh, no. Okay.
So his secant.
You're almost there. So cosine squared plus sine squared is
I was wanting to
one
cancel
over cosine squared.
these and say
Also cosine secant.
Okay.
Yeah. Did you get some like 21 over X squared?
Listen, I got it.
You got it?
I got the answer.
Okay.
So, did you get negative 6x to the third minus 21x squared? Oh, wait, are you on that?
Yeah, nice. Oh,
Yeah. Look, you have to distribute, you didn't do the 3's. You just left it as 3x to the third, but it's 9x to the third. It's okay. I know, like, I feel a little,
yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yours on the first plus seven is on the same.
Don't you hate when people really dumb mistake for no reason?
Wait, so which one is it? Oh, you. Okay, yeah. Didn't simplify. It's probably okay on that.
what did you get this to?
This one,
Or,
wonder why? You know, DCM.
yeah, but then what is this? Okay, okay. 6. So, wait, Okay, so then you should take out 3x squared. But then how do you get to this? Yeah, and then
And
it's
then you get 3x squared.
Um,
And then you cancel out the 2x squared. Wait, I'm so confused.
how do we do that?
How do you do it?
So the square root of x is 1 over 2x.
Can I just see? Oh, you're keep going. Oh, I accidentally did that.
The thing is, what I got is this one, number 13. But
The root of the square root of x is 1 over
13 went over 9.
Yeah.
What are you stuck on?
Wait. What did you say?
The derivative of square root of x is 1 over 2x.
Wait.
Over 2x square root.
Let me redo
Over
this.
2. Okay. Square root.
2 square root. Okay.
Minus 3 minus
Give it a minute. You look like you're not having a good time.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I'm confused about the next step for number 7. So I rewrote it and then I found the derivative, but I don't know where to go from
Science, cosine, leave this alone.
Yeah.
How did they do that?
Well, you've got, these are the exact same thing, so you can say you have 2 of them. Like 1 of something plus 1 of something gets you 2 of them.
I don't know. That's
That match up.
Oh wait, they
It
just
doesn't
put
match up
that,
with
they
anything.
just put the fraction, like, on the bottom of the x, and then
Alright guys, we're about 5 minutes out, so finish up the question you're on. Notice that if you did not finish the circuit for 26 or 27, please do that for your homework. Again, I don't see you till next Monday, so you could honestly do like probably 2 or 3 of these questions a day and still get it done plenty of time. And honestly, that may be better for you to force your brain to think about it a little bit every day instead of a lot at once. But I'm also asking for an assignment from, I think, 2 classes ago in Google Classroom. So make sure that you check that for homework to see what needs to be turned in. This is on the agenda page, so you don't have to write this down. On our class website, at the top right of it, has all of the agendas. You can click it and you can go back and check if you can't remember what the homework was or if there was homework.
yeah. I mean, I assume this will be that 5 minute.
Yeah. I need my 4 minutes to.
Wait, that wasn't enough work?
No, we're
Okay, I'll remember.
We'll do it at home. We're just so excited to do all of this at home. We just like can't wait. We're saving more to do at home because it's like
You know,
it's like a
you,
treat,
like,
you know?
Yeah. Like if you have ice cream, you have to like savor it.
Yeah.
Like over.
It's like, oh my gosh, I get to do all this calculus at home.
So yeah, stuff like that. I love it.
Y'all are asking for trouble.
I think it makes it.
Okay, that looks good. Does that not match?
I think I'm gonna like this one.
Yours little life.
Does not look like that one? Yeah, it looks right
right here,
Oh my
I think
God.
if you distribute this cosine
Coming to class today.
to these two things, I think it'll look like that.
But this one is 19.
Okay.
Well, I don't know about the numberings. You can worry about the numberings at the end when you think of that whole answer. You may have missed one of the other ones. It may have sent you down the wrong path.
I had first periods, like, no talk.
We got it together.
Just worry about it at the end. Just finish the rest of the questions and then it should be pretty obvious which one was off.
Me and Julia started talking to each other like the last like 4 weeks. Wait, what is
Yeah, see, I told my wife once, like, with cake, like, if you just chew it up and spit it out, like, you just enjoy it.
Ew!
You enjoy it just as much, and then it's not bad for you. And she said that's an eating disorder, so.
That is an eating disorder. What the hell? Let yourself enjoy some cake, Mr.
That is
Townsend.
something I would say. I told my mom something like that not that long ago, but I was like, I but I think that's right. It's just kind of gross.
I mean, why is it was in your mouth like 2 seconds before, exactly the same. Why is it grosser when it
Don't actually.
out?
Don't actually like do it.
That actually kind of makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. It's just like
It's just gross.
it looks like you have issues. Go to therapy.
Just have issues.
Yeah, but maybe the embarrassment of spitting out your cake